Hours to go before Nandigram goes to the polls as part of the phase 2 in West Bengal, Chief Minister Mamata has done something completely out of character. She's revealed her Hindu gotra. After Chandi Path recitation on stage, after the temple visits, after saying that she is a Hindu, after saying that she is a Durga Bhakt, the Bengal Chief Minister says her gotra is Shandilya. Why was she forced to do this? Why did she choose to do this? Why did she choose to do something that was so completely out of character? And what's the fallout? Take a look.
ঠাকুর মশাই ঠাকুর মন্দিরের ছবি নিয়ে দাঁড়িয়ে ছিলেন, পূজো নিয়ে দাঁড়িয়ে ছিলেন। তো আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছিলেন, মা তোমার গোত্রটা বলবে? আমি বলে ফেলেছিলাম মা মাটি মানুষ গোত্র। আজকেও তিনি যখন আমায় জিজ্ঞেস করলেন, আমি বললাম দেখুন আমার তো একটা পার্সোনাল গোত্র আছে, সেটা সান্ডিল্য, কিন্তু আমি মনে করি আমার গোত্র মা মাটি মানুষ গোত্র। আমার পূজোয় যদি মানুষের ভালো হয় সেই পূজোটাই আমি দিই।
Mamata Banerjee ending her Nandigram campaign by playing the gotra cards, declaring that she is a Shandilya. As the curtains fell on the final leg of a bruising battle in her Karm Bhumi, where she is pitted in a high-octane battle against her former confidant Suvendu Adhikari, Mamata triggered a fresh flashpoint by this gotra sign-off.
আজকেও তিনি যখন আমায় জিজ্ঞেস করলেন, আমি বললাম দেখুন আমার তো একটা পার্সোনাল গোত্র আছে, সেটা সান্ডিল্য।
From Maa Maati Manush all the way to explicitly declaring her lineage in Hindu culture, what compelled this unusual move from Didi? First off, the answer may lie in some of the reactions that have already come in. First, from AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi.
She's practicing same politics of communalism which is being practiced by Narendra Modi and BJP. I don't find any difference between what she's saying in this election and in her own election campaign and what BJP is doing. So Mamata Banerjee and Narendra Modi are made for each other.
Owaisi's barb likens Mamata to Rahul Gandhi, who famously had his team declare that he is a Janeudhari Hindu back in 2017. But Didi is also under attack from her primary challenger.
मोदी जी के डर से आपने गोत्र तो बता दिया, लेकिन आज तक आपने सांडिल गोत्र वालों को इतना तंग और तबाह क्यों किया? जब प्रथम चरण में उनकी जमीन खिसक गई तब उनको समझ में।
Mamata's Gotra declaration is the soaring climax to a steady script she's been playing to on the political battlefield to counter the BJP's Hindu nationalist politics. It began with her declaration of being a Durga Bhakt.
राम किसको पूजा किया था? दुर्गा पूजा किया था। हम दुर्गा पूजा करते हैं।
Then she chanted mantras from the Nandigram stage. Then she went on a non-stop temple hop. Then she declared her Hinduism once again explicitly.
I am also Hindu. I will not take certificate from BJP that I am Hindu A or I am Hindu B or I am Hindu C or I am Hindu D or I am Hindu Z. I am Hindu, I am also Hindu.
Then she stood up from her wheelchair for the national anthem. And now finally the declaration of her gotra.
আজকেও তিনি যখন আমায় জিজ্ঞেস করলেন, আমি বললাম দেখুন আমার তো একটা পার্সোনাল গোত্র আছে, সেটা সান্ডিল্য।
The battlefield is set. All weapons have been fired. Nandigram goes to the vote on Thursday. But Mamata's message will also be for the 6 phases that follow. With Polami Saha in Nandigram, Bureau Report, India Today. So why is Mamata Banerjee declaring her gotra, that too just one day before the Nandigram election, and what kind of fallout will it have on the rest of the election? Let's just try and decode it for you. Reason number 1 in our perception, the BJP's Hindu politics is possibly resonating in Bengal, and what Mamata Banerjee has done by declaring her gotra is perhaps acknowledging that there is some resonance to that. Number 2, it could be a response to the BJP's constant taunts on Mamata Banerjee's identity, including her religious identity. Number 3, it could be to combat the BJP's projection of her as a minority appeaser-in-chief, someone who ignores the majority community and only appeases the minorities. Number 4, under clear advice, this is clear that Mamata Banerjee has been advised by, whether it is Prashant Kishore or whoever it is, that she should not ignore the Hindutva factor, and that's why she's making comments of this kind. And finally, she's obviously been forced to upgrade from what was earlier a kind of calibrated comment on her Hindu identity to now an open declaration, I am a Hindu, this is my gotra, and that kind of thing. Obviously, there have been lots of reactions already in. Asaduddin Owaisi, who, mind you, has just declared that he has candidates in the fray in Bengal, was one of the first to react on this whole gotra remark. Here's what he said.
She's practicing same politics of communalism which is being practiced by Narendra Modi and BJP. I don't find any difference between what she's saying in this election and in her own election campaign and what BJP is doing. So Mamata Banerjee and Narendra Modi are made for each other.
Meanwhile, listen in to what Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee said in this exclusive conversation with Rajdeep Sardesai on the Ram and Durga face-off. It's actually this that was the starting point of this soaring climax of declaration of Hinduism, chanting, temple hops, finally ending with this declaration of her gotra. Here's where it all started.
The BJP claimed that you had left the program because Jai Shri Ram is a slogan.
अरे छोड़ो ना, बीजेपी क्या बोलता है उसको क्यों आप सुनता है? हमारा जय बांग्ला स्लोगन है, आजाद हिंद फौज जिंदाबाद, दैट डे स्लोगन वाज जय टू नेताजी स्लोगन, जय हिंद स्लोगन, वंदे मातरम स्लोगन. There are so many slogans. Even इनकलाबी जिंदाबाद हम नहीं बोलता है, लेफ्टिस्ट बोलता है. There are so many slogans. We respect all slogans.
It's
no
not
problem.
against a particular. You are not speaking out against a particular slogan, including Jai Shri.
No. I am not. राम किसको पूजा किया था? दुर्गा पूजा किया था. हम दुर्गा पूजा करते हैं.
I want to understand from what you are saying.
That is their vote polarization. That is there. I am also Hindu. I will not take certificate from BJP that I am Hindu A or I am Hindu B or I am Hindu C or I am Hindu D or I am Hindu Z. I am Hindu. I am also Hindu. You compare. If you can catch me, sit, discuss. I will give you the what is Hinduism, and you realize me.
You are ready for an open debate with your bhaiya Amit Shah tomorrow on Hinduism.
तो क्या है? अमित शाह भी कर सकता है और भी कर सकता है, लेकिन आपको तो एक तो डिग्निटी देखना चाहिए ना, किसका साथ हम कर सकते हैं.
And India Today's big agenda-setting news break today, a day ahead of polling in Nandigram, Bengal's Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has sent out a national SOS to all the big non-BJP netas in the country. She's written a personal letter which has now come to light after being broken by India Today. She's written a letter, 3-page letter to 15 non-BJP leaders, including Sonia Gandhi, Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray, MK Stalin, Arvind Kejriwal and many others, urging them to unite against the BJP to quote-unquote save democracy. In this letter, and we have a full copy of it, Mamata writes that the BJP has been trying to establish an authoritarian regime. Moreover, Mamata says that the BJP has been attacking India's federal structure and has been making a mockery of the spirit of democracy. Mamata has written this letter to Sonia Gandhi, Sharad Pawar, MK Stalin, Tejasvi Yadav, Uddhav Thackeray, Arvind Kejriwal, Farooq Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti and many others, and is being seen as an SOS from Mamata Banerjee ahead of the 2024 election and some kind of an attempt to revive a third front while projecting herself as a possible leader.
ममता जी समझ गई है कि बंगाल में उनकी जमीन खसक गई और इलेक्शन हार गई, इसलिए उन्होंने 24 के बारे में अभी से प्लान बनाना चालू कर दिया है, क्योंकि बंगाल में उनकी जमीन पूरी खसक चुकी है और जिस प्रकार के शब्दों का उपयोग कर रही है, जिस प्रकार वो प्रधानमंत्री जी को बोल रही है, जिस प्रकार हम मुख्यमंत्री जी को बोल रही है, ऐसा लगता है कि कहीं न कहीं इस जमीन खसकने से उनका मानसिक संतुलन भी थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ा सा गया है. तो उसे बहुत ही हल्के शब्दों का भी उपयोग किया. उन्होंने कहा कि मारेंगे, ये करेंगे, बाहर निकालेंगे. तो उनको लगता है कि अगला एजेंडा क्या तय करना है, अभी से तय कर लो, ये चुनाव तो हार गए और इसीलिए अगले एजेंडे की तरफ बढ़ गई है वो. यहाँ पर उनको लगता है कि मेरी जमीन खसक गई, मैं हार रही. तो अगला एजेंडा क्या तय करना है, इसलिए मैं देश के सारे विपक्षी नेताओं से कहा है कि अगले मोर्चे के लिए हम सब तैयार रहें, यहाँ पर मैं हार गई.
Paulami Saha live with us from Nandigram. She's the journalist who broke this story and it's been followed by everyone else. Very, very substantial, very meaningful letter, Paulami, that comes right in the middle of the Bengal election. I mean, it's come to light now. It's dated March the 28th. So it was written, you know, just after the elections had actually begun, but is being seen as a kind of national level SOS. It set the alarm bells ringing as far as Mamata Banerjee is concerned.
Well, it's definitely a very interesting development, Shiv, because she has written this letter to 15 non-BJP leaders asking them to get together after the assembly elections are over in order to make a concerted effort to take on the central government and the Bharatiya Janata Party. She says that the BJP is attempting to form a one-party authoritarian rule in the country, and there is a concerted effort being made allegedly by the Bharatiya Janata Party to disempower state governments and parties which are opposed to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So it's a very interesting development and SOS, as you say, by Mamata Banerjee to other opposition leaders. But yes, the timing of it is very critical because it comes bang in the middle of the assembly elections after the first phase of the assembly elections were over. Remember that the Bharatiya Janata Party, Mr. Amit Shah himself came out and claimed that the BJP was winning more than 26 out of 30 seats that went to polls in the first phase of the elections. So the BJP, of course, is reading this as possibly Mamata Banerjee seeing defeat in the near future as the election results are announced on May 2nd, and is already trying to form or forge a third front against the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Interesting and very interesting reactions from the BJP. They say this is a sign of her defeat. Thanks, Paulami. Great big news break. Another one there from the Bengal battlefield. This one with national repercussions. Well, the images on your screen right now that have just come in from Bengal. They're the latest images of Mamata Banerjee, who is taking the entire Khela Hobe metaphor forward by wielding a football and then throwing it into the crowd. Let's just try and listen in. Beautiful game, is very much loved and venerated in Bengal, and after some animated advertisements depicting Mamata Banerjee as a football warrior, here she's doing it in real life now, picking up a football, tossing it into the crowd after hails of Khela Hobe. The imagery, the symbolism, unmistakable, a day ahead of the big Nandigram battle in which Didi, sitting in her wheelchair, knows is going to be make or break. It's only 1 out of 294 seats, and yet it is simply something where failure is not an option for Mamata Banerjee, and that's why she's milking every single image, as is the BJP and its leaders. Well, she's one of the titans in what is set to be Bengal's biggest political clash tomorrow. Chief Minister Mamata, seen here holding that football, will be camping in Nandigram all day tomorrow as it goes to the polls. In a veiled dig at her opponent Suvendu Adhikari, Mamata promised to finish off the traitor in this election. Tomorrow, Nandigram will go to the polls in the second phase of this election, sealing the fate of incumbent Chief Minister Mamata and Suvendu Adhikari of the BJP. 22 additional companies of central forces will be deployed in the district ahead of the election, anticipating possible violence. On the last day of campaigning yesterday, the high-profile constituency saw a plethora of big leaders out on the streets in a last-ditch effort to nail this huge seat. Well, the stakes are immeasurably high for both Mamata Banerjee and Suvendu Adhikari in Nandigram. But who better has a chance? Who has the edge? Who has the advantage? Is it even possible to tell at this stage? What does the data show? Rahul Kavala, news director, has the numbers. He's crunched them. Over to you, Rahul. Make sense of the numbers for us in Nandigram.
Let's spend a few moments trying to understand the electoral arithmetic of the Nandigram Assembly constituency, which at this moment is attracting pan-India attention. 331,000 total voters in this constituency, divided into two blocks, Nandigram Block 1 and Block 2. Now, Block 1 is the bigger block in Nandigram. This has 98 villages, 2 towns, a total of about 207,000 voters. Nandigram 2 is the smaller block. Here there are 40 villages and 1 town. In Nandigram constituency, 97% of the voters live in rural areas. So it's a largely non-urban, non-semi-urban rural constituency. Now in Nandigram 1, which is a stronghold of the Trinamool, there are 34% Muslim voters. So 1 in 3 voters is Muslim in Nandigram block 1. 19% are Dalit. In Nandigram 2, 1.23 lakh voters are the total number of voters, out of whom 12% are Muslim. So it's a majority Hindu block. Now the point here is Nandigram block 1, which is dominated by Muslims, is the bigger block, 2.07 lakh voters, and here the TMC is very strong, as you'll just see. In Nandigram block 2, the Hindus dominate. Here the BJP has made key and significant inroads, but this is a much smaller block. Let's take you through how Nandigram has voted in past battles. We'll start with the 2016 assembly elections, where Suvendu Adhikari at that time picked up 72% of the vote in Nandigram block 1. The BJP had only 6% of the vote. Now let's cut to Nandigram block 2, where the Trinamool had 60% of the vote. The BJP had 5% of the vote. It's the left vote, which from 2016, as we now cut to the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, and we break it down for this same assembly segment, you'll see a lot of the, it's not the BJP vote, it's not the Trinamool vote that got fragmented, it's the left vote that went to the BJP. Let's now come to 2019. In the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, and remember at that time, Suvendu Adhikari and the family of the Adhikari brothers and the father were still with the Trinamool. The Trinamool had 66% of the vote in block 1. The BJP had 27% of the vote. So huge gap in block 1. In block 2, the Trinamool was at 57, the BJP at 34, so the gap lesser. But if you were to look at the entire constituency of Nandigram, even in 2019, there was a 32% gap between the vote polled by the BJP and the vote polled by the Trinamool. So this really is a reflection of the audacity of ambition of the Bharatiya Janata Party to put so much energy and effort to try and pin Mamata Banerjee down in a seat where there's a 32% gap just from 2019. Ordinarily, this seat would be considered a Trinamool stronghold, a bastion, a safe seat for the TMC. But because they've now got Suvendu Adhikari on their side, they're really giving this a full go. Let's take a look at how the 278 polling booths of Nandigram polled. Now, in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, out of the total booths, the Trinamool had 40% plus vote in 272 of these 278. So the Trinamool really very strongly present all across the Nandigram seat, whereas the BJP had 40% plus vote in only 82 polling booths, which essentially means the party has weak machinery on the ground. It's an uphill battle. It's just their desire to win, their desire not to give up, their belief that anything is possible, which is what is pushing BJP in the way that they are. All the big guns, from the Prime Minister Amit Shah, all going down to Nandigram for this battle. It's not as if it's a very tight fight electorally from past data, but with the BJP, we've seen, for example, in Uttar Pradesh and elsewhere, past data is no guarantee of future performance, as they say in those mutual funds ads, and that's what the BJP is hoping for. Net-net, out of the 271 booths in 2016, the Trinamool led in 264, the BJP in none. Even if I cut to 2019, Nandigram booth-wise, we are breaking it down granular here, booth-wise data, the Trinamool very strong, the BJP very weak in comparison. Out of the 278 assembly booths, out of the 278 polling booths in the Lok Sabha elections, the TMC led on 244, the BJP on 34. This should be one-way traffic, no contest, but despite that, the BJP going all out and making a fight of this.
All bets are off. Rahul, thank you very much for breaking that down for us. Only on India Today will you see election arithmetic that is so specific and so detailed and so accurate. All bets are off. You've seen how much the BJP has put into the Nandigram election, of course, generally speaking, the Bengal election itself. We've got some breaking news coming in. And boy, is it raining complaints from Bengal at the Election Commission just hours before Nandigram goes to the polls as part of the second phase of voting in Bengal. The Trinamool has once again accused Suvendu Adhikari, turncoat Suvendu Adhikari, of harboring criminals in Nandigram, while the BJP has filed a complaint against the Trinamool's Sharad Banerjee for spreading misinformation and misleading voters by levelling false allegations against Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah. So it's the war of complaints between the Trinamool and the BJP with the Election Commission. Meanwhile, BJP chief JP Nadda was holding a road show in Hooghly, West Bengal a short while ago. India Today's Prema Rajaram spoke with him on the campaign trail.
हमारे साथ इस वक्त पुरसुरा में जेपी नड्डा है, जो है बीजेपी के अध्यक्ष, राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष। नड्डा जी, अगर आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि कल बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चुनाव है नंदीग्राम में, दीदी या दादा, लोग किसको चुनेंगे, दीदी या दादा को चुनेंगे?
हो चुका है, सर्वेंदु दादा जीतेंगे, ममता जी का हार निश्चित है, एक तरफा फैसला है। आप मुझसे चुनाव के नतीजों के बाद मिलिएगा, जरूर मिलिएगा, और मेरी बात को नोट कीजिएगा। ममता जी हार चुकी हैं और नंदीग्राम की जनता ने सर्वेंदु जी को चुनना तय कर लिया।
अगर आंकड़े के बारे में हम बात करें तो ये कहा गया था बीजेपी की तरफ से कि 200 सीट मिलेंगी। पहला चरण का चुनाव समाप्त हो चुका है, अभी दूसरा चरण शुरू होने वाला है। अभी भी वही आंकड़े हैं?
बिल्कुल, हम दूसरा चरण भी अच्छे तरीके से जीतेंगे और 200 पार करने वाले हैं। ये भीड़ आप देख रहे हैं, मैं चाहूंगा कि जरा सा आप अपना कैमरा इधर घुमा के दिखाइए। ये इलाका जो कभी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पास नहीं था, आज जनता पार्टी से आगे निकल करके ममता जी को हराने के लिए आतुर है और वह एक तरफा संदेश दे रही है। तोलाबाजी, तुष्टीकरण, कटमनी, भ्रष्टाचार, इसके खिलाफ अपना संदेश वह स्पष्ट दे रही है और सोनार बंगाल असोल परिवर्तन के लिए वो जागरूक होकर के आगे बढ़ी है।
और एक चिट्ठी सामने नजर आ रहा है जो बीजेपी की तरफ से ये झूठा साबित हो रहा है कि दिलीप घोष ने आपको एक चिट्ठी लिखा था कि पहले चरण की 3 से 4 सीट ही मिलेगा बीजेपी को, लेकिन ये अफवाह कहां से और क्यों फैल रही है?
ये टीएमसी और टीएमसी की जिसको कहते हैं कि हताशा और इस तरीके के हल्के प्रचार करने के तरीके, उनको मालूम है कि 30 में से 26-27 बीजेपी जीत चुकी है, लेकिन वो जनता में भ्रम फैलाने के लिए फेक लेटर्स लिख करके वह जनता को भ्रमित करने की कोशिश कर रही है। उनको मालूम नहीं है कि वो भ्रम में है। जनता ने तय कर लिया है और 2 तारीख को ममता जी को सूद समेत नतीजा देगी।
आखिरी सवाल, ममता बनर्जी को क्या संदेश आप देना चाहेंगे?
कुछ नहीं, वो अपने में सुधार करें और चुनाव के बाद आत्मचिंतन करें।
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.